Um, just on that point, we obviously, if you had any questions and you weren't too comfortable asking them in a recorded meeting, both Deborah's contact details, my contact details are on here, so feel very free to contact us afterwards, because obviously some of your questions might be a little bit more about your personal circumstance. We don't recommend kind of putting that on the recorded meeting, so do have that conversation outside. We're both very available.
Brilliant. And we will also release this recording on YouTube, and on that YouTube we will tag healthy homes and things as well, so that if afterwards you forgot something or you couldn't remember what the criteria of eligibility was, you can go back and watch it, and also you'll be able to find the links to Deborah and Malcolm so that you can contact them personally. So I don't think there's anything else, so you guys can rock and roll. And please use the chat facility if you want to ask questions as well as verbalizing. Cool.
Fantastic. I'll continue. Okay. So welcome everybody. Can everyone hear me? Fantastic. Okay. So there we go. So welcome to how to save money on your energy bill. Excellent. So introduction. So my name is Deborah and I am the energy coordinator, and I'm based at the Croydon BME Forum. And this is a brand new project, so I'm very new. And the project is called the Croydon Healthy Homes Partnership. And it is in partnership with Croydon Councils. Basically, Malcolm Bell is here today, and he's the energy project manager for the whole of Croydon. And would you like to introduce yourself, Malcolm?
Yep, thanks, Deborah. So my name is Malcolm. My job title is Energy Projects Manager, but I'm effectively the person that's responsible for fuel poverty and domestic energy efficiency in private sector homes. You may have heard of the Croydon Healthy Homes programme, and which has been running for a few years, which I manage. And obviously we started working, really pleased to have started working with the Croydon BME Forum and Deborah specifically.
Fantastic, excellent. So what we will be learning today, guys. So the health impact of living in a cold home, how your home loses heat, what you can do now, understanding your energy bills, the importance of meter readings, the impact of switching energy tariffs, grant funding for homeowners, and applying for discounts on energy and water bills, and energy and water debt advice. So let's begin. So when we look at heat and temperature levels within our home and the comfort and the efficiency of your home, you want your home to be about 21 degrees Celsius within the living room and 18 degrees in other occupied spaces within the room. However, babies and individuals with disabilities or health conditions may need a bit warmer temperatures because of their ability to not hold their temperature, to be a bit weaker. Okay? Now, when we look at the health implications of living in a cold home, there are certain factors that we have to consider. So between 12 degrees centigrade, Celsius, increases one's cardiovascular disorder. That's things like hypertension, increased risk of developing strokes. So living in a cold home is very detrimental to one's health. Also, you have increased risk of developing cold and flu, especially within the cold seasons. Also, headaches and disorientation can increase if you are continuously in a cold environment. Skin disorders like eczema can also be as a result of living in a cold home. And lastly, if your temperature within your home is below 16 degrees Celsius, you are at a higher risk of developing respiratory disorders, things like pneumonia and asthma within children, and in some cases, adults. Okay, now, when we think of saving money on our energy bills, we have to start with heating controls. Now, heat controls provide ways that you can control your central heating by regulating temperature. By doing so, you control the temperature within your homes and room, okay? And programmers enables us to to time our heating system and to ensure that we are using what we need, okay? However, if you do need to turn your heating up for longer for any medical reasons, then keep it on, keep it to at your desired setting, okay? And if you do want some support with heating control, myself or Malcolm can support you with your heating controls, okay? So also as well, if you was to turn your radiator valve, like you can see in the picture, to 3 or even 7 on the thermostat valve, in a poorly insulated property, it will take over an hour to heat up your property, okay? Now, heat loss within a property. Now, for this presentation, I'm going to focus on 2 types of heat loss, okay? The first one is fabric heat loss. What is that? That is when heat escapes through the building's material, okay? And then ventilation heat loss is when heat escapes as air is blowing through the gaps within the building, okay? Why do we need to know this? Because when it comes to heat loss within your home, that could be through the gaps through the windows, it could be spaces between the doors, and it could be air vents that are not in use, okay? And also drafts from the floorboards and the skirtings, okay? When it comes to simple measures of reducing heat loss within your homes, that could be putting carpets, putting curtains, and draft proofing your property, okay? All right, which is why, so in a typical uninsulated property, you could lose about 25% of your heat through your roof, 35% through your walls, okay? And 15% through your front door and through the floorboards, okay? And 10% from your doors, okay? So, which is why installation measures are so important. Now that we understand how heat is lost within our property, we can identify how to make changes in order to reduce our energy bills. Now, the first question to everybody, hope you guys can hear me. When was the last time you engaged with your energy provider? Do we have the perfect? So if we can all take the poll and let's see, give it a few minutes. Okay, interesting. Okay, so we have a good old mix. We have a good old mix. Okay, so the ones that have done 0 to 6 months, that's good. And I hope that you keep up that regular interaction with your energy provider. So most importantly, it's the 1 to 3 years and the over 6 years, okay, is some of the things that we are going to discuss in terms of why it's important to engage with your energy provider. Okay, you'll take down the tally. Yeah, we'll take that down. Shall I close it? I'll minimize it. Okay. So, okay. So, how do you pay your energy bill? Do we have another poll? It's the second poll. Okay. So, guys, if you can answer this question, and then we'll discuss further. Excellent. Okay, direct debits. That's good. Online banking. Okay, good. Okay. I'll give it a few more minutes. Okay. Okay. All right. Post office. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So now it is important to make your payment plan suitable for your income and your lifestyle. Okay. Let me minimize that. However, the way you pay will determine the best rates energy companies give you on your tariff. Okay. Now we know that paying by direct debit can significantly reduce one's energy bills, and you will be on a better tariff just by paying via direct debit. Now, if you are currently paying your bills via postal order, via going to your post office, via check, online banking every single month, have you considered setting up a direct debit with your energy provider? Because that will enable you to be put on the best energy tariff by your provider. Okay. Okay. Now, another question, guys. Do any of you use a prepayment meter? Let's get the poll. Okay. No? Do you not know what it is? Okay. Okay. What is it? Okay. All right. So I will assume that everyone has, or most people have answered. Now, I like that some people, oh, have I closed it? Can you guys see my screen sharing?
No, we can see you.
Okay, all right, let's get it back in. Minimize that. Okay, so screen's not moving. There we go. So what I saw that some asked that they don't know what a prepayment meter is. So what a prepayment meter is that it allows you to top up before you use your basically your gas or electricity. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of using a prepayment meter. So we know that with a prepayment meter, because you pay in advance, you will have details of your energy tariff. You will also have details of your units of fuel and your standing charge, which is taken daily, okay? And also it will tell you your rates per kilowatt hours, which is a term used by energy companies of how they charge you for electricity per hour, okay? It will also tell you your available credit, and it will also tell you your if you have any outstanding debt, and also if you have any repayment debt that you need to pay. Now, the cons of using a prepayment meter is that you are essentially paying the wages of the equipment and the attendant at the shopkeeper, at the shopkeeper, okay? So many people prefer this way of paying because it helps them budget, but they pay much more for their gas and electricity using a prepayment meter. They are also paying for the infrastructure, as I mentioned earlier, such as the cars, the keys, and then the shop owners supplying this service, okay? And it can even cost you about £60 extra a year just by using this particular service, okay? Now, the good part, understanding your bill. Now, as you can see, I've got a bill on the screen. Energy companies are required by law to include a lot of information, such as whether the readings are accurate or estimated on your energy bill, whether the resident could pay less or switch to another tariff offered by the supplier. And also, by law, energy companies are required to include a lot of information, but something that we are seeing is that this information is not user-friendly, okay? It's not user-friendly, yeah? The bill should show an estimated annual consumption. Now, if one is thinking about changing, this is very important because it then tells your next provider of how much energy you use, okay? As mentioned on my last slide, if an actual meter has not been taken for a while, the bill may be much higher than the actual consumption. One of the first things to check when your bill could be high is that when was the last time you submitted a meter reading, okay? In some cases, submitting a reading can significantly reduce your energy bills, but we will definitely talk about that within this presentation and much later. Now, if you are thinking about switching energy tariffs, there are a few things to consider, okay? Now, this is a copy of a bill that, my personal bill that when I switched, and as you can see in the corner is that how there is a cancellation fee, okay, termination fee, okay? And that is something that you need to consider, is that how you may be charged a closing fee if it is before your tariff ends. And also as well, your final closing bill by your energy supplier. Now, if you are, and make sure that you get a refund if you are in credit for with your energy company. Now, Ofgem is the energy regulator provider, and Ofgem, the government regulator, estimates that 60% of UK households are not on good energy tariffs, okay? And because of this, we are potentially paying over £200 and £300 for our gas and electricity just by being on a bad energy tariff. Unfortunately, there are many ways to find a good tariff, and residents sometimes get confused and do nothing. And that's why we are here to help you get on the best energy tariff that you can be on, okay? We recommend using Ofgem accredited price comparison websites which follow the Ofgem rules. Now, unfortunately, some non-accredited websites include some which advertise on primetime TV, tend to promote the tariffs which generate the best commissions for them. This is something that we do not do, and we will always signpost you in the best place to get good energy tariffs, okay? Now, the importance of meter reading. As it is displayed on the screen, okay? This increases the accuracy of your energy bill, and it reduces you being overcharged by your energy supplier. And once again, I'll reiterate, as we mentioned before, regular meter readings ensures that you are charged accurately for your energy bill. Now, smart meters. I'm not sure if you guys are aware or know what they are, but a smart meter enables you to do two things. It basically improves the awareness of your energy consumption, and if you have one built in with your gas and electricity, it can send electronic meter readings to your supplier. Now, a smart meter will enable you to basically understand how you are using the energy within your home, and therefore understanding how you can save money on different appliances that you use, okay? So, as I mentioned earlier, households can save on average £200 to £300 a year just by switching energy tariffs, okay? Let's do another poll. After the information I've given, are you thinking about switching? Will you switch energy tariffs? Do not the poll. Let's see, maybe. It's good. Oh, that's good. Good. Good, good. Any more? Good. Good, good, good. So it's always good just to have the conversation, so that's excellent. But we've got yes and a maybe. Excellent. Okay. Now, one thing I would like to reiterate is that you have a choice, okay? All the information that I'm giving you is there to support, is there to support and to get you thinking about ways to save money on your energy bills. But in essence, you have a choice, okay? Now, one of the things that me, myself, and what Malcolm Bell do within Croydon Council is that we have this new scheme called the Big London Energy Switch, okay? Now, what is the Big London Energy Switch? Another way to find a good tariff is through the collective switching, such as the Big London Energy Switch. It's a scheme that was set up by Croydon Council in 2013 with other London boroughs, okay? And effectively, customers can group together and energy companies can bid to offer everyone the best tariff, okay? People, the best tariff. Then they are offered to switch to a new tariff. Now, the money in which energy companies would normally spend on marketing is basically put towards using, sorry, give me a second. So would have been spent for marketing for new customers can be passed on to you. And these schemes can offer you a market-beating price. So it's going to be much reduced than you looking on a comparison website, okay? Now, for more information on the Big London Energy Switch, on the website that is shown on the screen, or you can go on the council's website and you can find out more information about the Big London Energy Switch, okay? And also residents who are on a prepayment meter can also switch energy tariffs. But as mentioned earlier, the market is not that competitive and you wouldn't get a great deal on a prepayment meter. And the next auction for the Big London Energy Switch is in October. Okay, so how we can help? Okay, so we're gonna take a 5-minute break, all right? We'll take a 5-minute break where you can get a bit of water, a cup of tea, and just to know that how, if you're not able to stay for the next part, which will go into detail about the schemes, the discounts, you can scan our QR code, which you get like a referral form where you can contact myself, or you can contact Lizzie directly and she can forward your details onto myself. So we'll have a 5-minute break.
Thank you, Deborah. Also, I just thought it'd be useful for you to know in the break that Conrad raised some really good points about smart meters that he might want addressed after the break.
Okay, fantastic.
No
I can't see the questions.
If you just open up the chat, do you know how to do that? At the bottom of your screen, there's like security, participants, all those sorts of buttons.
Yes. Yeah.
If you click on chat, it will show you. It's mostly just me sharing your details, but yeah, but Conrad put some good points up as well.
I'll put more. Let's see the chat. There we go. Okay. Yes. Conrad said about smart meters. So we'll discuss all smart meters at the end. The smart meters are a nightmare for reading.
Deborah, I'm happy to take that one if you
Yeah,
want.
of course, definitely.
It's
Yeah,
up to you, but let me know.
definitely. Yeah. So we'll definitely answer everyone's questions after near to the end. So we'll start on another. Have a look in the chat. Okay, so Jay Patel, we're going to go through all the discounts and the different schemes if you don't want to switch. Switching is just an option to save money. So it's just one of the many options that we have. Start back in a one more minute. We'll get started now. Can you guys hear me? We'll get started now. We've had about 5 minutes.
Brilliant. That sounds good. Thank you, Deborah.
Okay, it's all right. Okay, so discounts, the part we've all been waiting for. Okay. So, Malcolm here?
Yeah, just a second. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Coming back. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, perfect. So now this is the section where we're going to talk about all the grant funding available for homeowners and different schemes available for different eligibilities. Okay, so we're going to get started now. So grant funding for every energy improvements. Over to you, Malcolm.
Thanks, Deborah. So this part is very much about for those of you that own your homes or are responsible for paying for improvements to your home. Apologies to any sort of council, housing association tenants. So effectively your landlord, whether it be the council housing team or the housing association, would be responsible. And again, this is mainly for people who own houses, because if you live in a flat, it's your freeholder that's responsible for insulation rather than yourself. So basically, in terms of grant funding for energy improvements, and we'll kind of explain which energy improvements a bit later, is sometimes available. And the grant funding generally is for lower income households. Some grant funding fully funds measures. Some expect residents to contribute to a portion of the work of the funding, which is clearly a challenge for low income households. And we don't tend to promote these schemes. There's no point, you know, if you're on a very low income, giving you £5,000 and saying, well, you've got to find 5,000 yourself. if you're on benefits, because that wouldn't necessarily be very helpful for a majority of you unless you've got lots of savings. The grant itself may come from central government, regional government, which is for us City Hall, the Mayor of London, energy companies, and some organisations have other funding pots. Although Croydon Council promotes a lot of schemes, it's not Croydon Council money. We get asked lots of questions about how come the financial situation at Croydon Council, we suddenly promoting £10,000 of grant. We can do that because it's not our £10,000. So the image on the screen is the Mayor of London's Warmer Homes scheme, which when it was open offered up to £4,000 of the Mayor's money for energy improvements for low-income households. It's closed at the moment, but we hope when it reopens, it will be up to £5,000. And this can also fund some energy improvements for private rental properties. So if you rent from a private landlord, so i.e. not the council or the housing association, some works can be done, but obviously you need your consent as a tenant and also the landlord's consent. A company called Happy Energy, who we've been working with for a while, have been commissioned to run the scheme, and they often bring in extra money. Unfortunately, schemes tend to be oversubscribed, and all the funding this financial year, well, last financial year has already gone, and we still need mayoral sign off for this year. Scheme often closes very, very early. So it's really sort of important to be aware, and apply early in these sort of schemes. And one thing we're starting to do at Croydon Council, at Healthy Homes, and Deborah will do as well, is we meet a lot of residents when the schemes are closed to, if with your consent, store your information so we can recontact you as soon as grants are available. On the screen at the moment, so hopefully you can see the whole thing, or maybe half. I've only got sort of half at the bottom, but it's our energy advice webpage where we keep details of all the schemes that are currently available for Croydon residents. So well worth, if you are online, having a quick check on that just to see what's new. Deborah, can you do the next slide? So this is, I'm not expecting you to kind of read this, but this is basically just a table of the types of measures which are available for what's called the energy company obligation. That's funding for energy companies. It just kind of shows how complicated it is. It might depend on your housing tenure, your energy performance certificate for your property. So what I'm trying to show here is how complicated it is, and why it's really good to talk to a professional about your home, see what you might be eligible for, because it can be a bit overwhelming looking at a table like that, trying to work out exactly where you fit into that. So as I say, do talk to Deborah or a member of my team, and we can have a chat with you what's currently available. And as I say, with your consent, record your information so we can write to you or phone you back as soon as something becomes available. As I say, there's more demand than there is money out there, so it's really important when something does become available to be near the top of the queue. Deborah, next slide please. So there is another scheme as well. It's one, if you are following the council, that's got really good scheme that's well worth applying for and talking to us now. Soon, but quickly before that, just in terms of the standard eligibility, it is standard eligibility for grant is if you receive a financial benefits, a means tested carer's allowance or a disability benefit, you might be eligible. And also if you're not, that's traditional eligibility. It's called eco energy company obligation, or HECRO eligibility, home heating cost reduction obligation eligibility. That's just a standard eligibility. So it's receipt of a benefit, not council tax benefit, not housing benefit, but most of the others. Deborah's got a list. And if you're not eligible, there's this new thing called local authority flexible eligibility mechanism, or just EcoFlex for short. And with that, if you're not on benefits, but you still are a lower income household, there are ways to be made eligible, and that would require the council assessing your income and then me physically signing a form to sign you as eligible. It'll probably take a sort of an hour on its own to try and explain some of these eligibility. So there's something on the website on the energy advice page, a link to that, or you can just kind of talk to us if you see that you might be eligible for that. As I say, it's a fairly standard eligibility for most schemes, so you'll kind of know whether you might fit within the threshold for grant funding or not. Or okay, Deborah, the next slide, please. And this is the scheme which is currently open. So with this one, this is funding that the council's actually got from central government via a consortia bid with Portsmouth City Council and a company called Agility Eco. This offers, unlike the mayor scheme, which offered only 5,000, this offers up to £10,000 of grant, so far more significant grant, which will fund grant for solid wall insulation, which is if your home was built before the 1930s, you're likely to have one big thick layer of brick in your home, as opposed to more modern properties that have cavity walls, which are and these sort of schemes often, funding probably cost £8,000–9,000 just to do solid wall insulation on a single sort of terrace property. So having this sort of level of funding is the first time we've had it. Some of you might have even had a letter from the council. We got some funding. We sent 7,000 letters out to people sort of known to us, but obviously a lot of people wouldn't have got the letter. So it can fund that. It can fund an air source heat pump, which is effectively a more modern way using renewable technologies to provide central heating. So effectively it uses latent heat within the air. And also solar PV. So if your walls are insulated, solar PV, so what you see on some roofs, so it basically uses solar energy from the sun and can create free renewable electricity, whether it's a cloudy day or a sunny day. There's plenty of solar energy and can provide you with free electricity during daylight hours. So even if you don't have a solid wall property, if you do live in a house with a roof, it's well worth investigating. So in terms of eligibility, you do need to be a homeowner. And generally, as I said, it's generally for people in houses, because ultimately, if you live in a flat, it's your freeholder, not you, that's responsible for the walls. If you live in a flat, it's not your roof. So really, we're looking at people in houses and bungalows, because you are effectively the freeholder. You must have a gross household income, including all benefits, under 30,000, and that is everybody in your household. This eligibility was set by national government, and it's exactly the same if you're a single person living in a home that's paid off your mortgage or a larger household. This is, it's just an arbitrary figure they've put out there, but 30,000 is a government eligibility. And with also energy performance rating of D or below. But if you don't know what your energy performance rating is and you need solid wall insulation, you almost certainly will have an EPC rating of D or below. But so don't worry too much if you don't know your energy performance rating. Still apply, and they can assess that as part of the survey. So what would actually happen in practice if you made an application? So it's a fairly straightforward application process, which if you're online you can make yourself, or Deborah or myself, member of my team, can do over the phone with you. Then your details would go to Agility Eco, the company. They would send a surveyor out to your home, would have a look to see what works can be done, and see what can be done for under the £10,000 funding limit. Then they will effectively do a quote, and if as the funding's under 10,000, you won't have to pay anything. And they've expected that no resident, it's aimed at low-income households. The expectation is that you shouldn't be paying any money towards it yourself. And then after the survey, it'll be your decision whether you want to proceed. The survey's free as well, even if you decide not to go ahead. So, as I say, if you register, all you're basically committing to is somebody coming out to your home, do a survey, and then have a look. As I say, it is fairly complicated. You may not necessarily know the wall type in your property, whether your roof is suitable for solar. They'll have to look at the quality of the roof and the direction of the roof. So it's well worth, even if you're not sure, getting a surveyor out to have a look, and then they'll be able to advise you. And obviously they'll be able to ask any questions you've got about you know, the wall installation, the process, what it's going to look like afterwards. So there is there's information on our webpage again on the screen. It's the same one that Lizzie put into the chat. And just look for, I think, the second item down on that page, and that will just, there's a link on that will take you to the site. But as I say, you can do it yourself. It's a really easy application, but if you'd rather talk to us first, we're really happy to do that. So just call one of us and we'll talk through the situation, the place, and obviously we can make an application over the phone with you. Okay, Deborah.
Excellent. So now we're going to talk about some of the discounts available to some of our residents. Okay, so as we know already that how, as well as energy support, we can offer advice on support from water companies. Okay, Ofwat is the water regulator that requires water companies to offer a scheme called Water Shore, which can cap water bills using water meters who are low income water meter users. Okay, and who are high water users for medical reasons, or because they have 3 or more children. Okay. In addition, both water companies with customers in the borough, either Thames Water or SCS Water, can also offer a scheme which can offer you 50% discount on bills for low-income households. The gross income threshold is £19,747 for both Thames Water and SCS Water customers. Okay, and this income is the same within all households. Okay, so that's two schemes: Water Shore, which is the capped water bills, and then there's Water Help and Water Shore, which is a scheme that gives you 50% off your water bills if you have a water meter. Now, Warms Homes discount. Okay, so Warms Homes discount, you could get up to £140 off your electricity bill for the winter 2021 and 2022 under the Warms Homes discount scheme. Okay, if you are of working age and receive financial benefits, you must apply. Okay, the money is not paid to you directly, and it is a one-off discount on your electricity bill between September and March. Okay, there are 2 groups that they specifically look at. We have the core group, which is of pension guarantee. If you are on pension guarantee credit, you should get this automatically. Now, the broader group are if you are of working age and receive means tested benefits and meet your energy suppliers criteria for the scheme, you must apply. Now, us as the energy manager and coordinator, we can help you set this up. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, something called the Priority Service Register, which is a free service provided by your suppliers and network operators, and each supplier and network operator maintains its own register. Now, to be eligible to be put on the Priority Service Register, you are of pension age, okay? You have a disability or chronic sickness, you have a long-term medical condition, and having hearing or visual impairments or additional communication needs, or you are in a vulnerable situation. We can go into more depth about the types of vulnerable situation that the service suggests. Now, what you get if you are on the Priority Service Register is advance notice for power cuts, priority support in an emergency, identification schemes, password protection, a nominee scheme where you can nominate either a family member or a close friend that can provide you support with your energy supplier, and arrangements to ensure that it is safe and practical for you to use your prepayment meter, and also meter reading service at an appropriate intervals. Okay. All right. Now, energy debt. Okay. Our main concern is that you get advice and you speak to your supplier as soon as you start struggling with your energy bills. Okay. Citizens Advice Bureau did an analysis, and last summer estimated that 2.8 million UK households come out of the first lockdown in debt to their energy company. Okay. There are lots of regulations for energy companies around debt, but some overzealous energy companies try to fit a prepayment meter rather than following procedures. Okay, energy companies must agree affordable repayment plans with its residents. Okay, and any change to the repayment plans where residents' circumstances change. However, this does not always happen. Okay, now we can strongly advise residents to get in contact with their energy supplier as soon as they start struggling with payments and seek advice. Okay, you have citizens advice, and you also have us from the Healthy Homes Partnership team as well. We could also advise residents struggling to afford to top up their prepayment meter to contact their energy suppliers, as there may be some additional prepayment credit. However, this will need to be paid back. Nowadays, very few households get cut off due to debt. Suppliers are actually prohibited from disconnecting a home, especially if they are on the customer eligibility priority service register within winter. Okay. Now, what is more of a concern for residents is the self-disconnection. If you are struggling with your energy debt, speak to us as soon as possible. The earlier, the better. Okay. Now, once again, my name is Deborah, and I am the energy coordinator based at the BME Forum. And what my specific role is providing education on how to save money on your energy bills. Okay. Support in finding and switching to the best energy tariff. Support in applying for any discounts and grant funding for energy and water bills, and overall energy and water debt advice. Okay. To keep in touch, here's my contact details and my phone number, which has also been put in the chat as well. And now we will go into question time. All right. So I will stop sharing my screen and we will go into.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
You're welcome.
So it's the thing that surprised me is just like how many things there are that can help you. And basically,
yes.
Like I don't know, like it's hard to find unless there's someone like you to let us know.
Definitely. There's so much schemes, so much discounts available, especially with the grant funding, which I will mention again, the Agility Eco, where if you are earning less than 30,000, you can get up to £10,000 for grant funding, which is definitely something I would encourage people to apply for if they are eligible.
So is that less than 30,000 as an individual or for the household?
For the household.
Cool.
Yeah, for the household. I think someone had a smart meter question. Malcolm, did you want to answer that?
Well, there were a couple of questions. It's probably worth it's more sort of comments rather than questions, but explaining a little bit about smart meters and the process. Maybe a bit more sort of background as well. Smart meters are something which the sort of government insisted energy companies started doing about 10 years ago, but Ofgem, the regulator, took a very sort of hands-off approach. They basically said to energy companies, you have to fit them, but there was very little regulation about which type of smart meters they fitted. So there was a lot on the news. Different energy companies fitted different smart meters, which kind of worked for their own company, but then residents had a lot of problems switching supplier. Not because there was any issue with the meter itself. It wasn't the meter. In case you don't have a smart meter, you aren't aware, there's effectively two bits to a smart meter. There's a meter which goes in the same place as your current meter. Together with that, they have what's called AMR equipment, and that's what sends the automatic reading to your supplier. But then you also have what's known as an in-home display, and that's the bit where the problems have arisen. So one in-home display doesn't necessarily works with one company and not another. So the first lot of smart meters, the first batch of smart meters for the first few years, there were lots and lots of problems. As I say, it is partly the way that the government is allowing energy companies themselves to make lots of decisions, and they all make slightly different decisions with different bits of equipment. They were called what's called, we know, a sort of SMET meters. So I think it's about 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, it became illegal to fit any more of those. So if you had a smart meter fitted within, probably up to 2019. There was lots of dates for this, but with COVID and people stopping coming out to fit smart meters, I think a lot of those sort of dates the government said fell away. So if your smart meter's been fitted in the last couple of years, you probably do have a smart meter that is compatible with switching energy supplier. So the problem is you can still use any smart meter, still works as a meter to switch supplier, but the automatic reading part of it. So effectively, with an old meter, your smart meter works the same way as an old-fashioned meter, where it still needs to be read. So effectively, hopefully they've resolved that. And and last time and again, this is something that probably fell on the wayside. The government were trying to get energy companies to relook at the software within the smart meters, so the program within it, so they all are got to become a bit more compatible. But as they say, so these early smart meters, effectively you might have gone the hassle of getting one fitted early on, and then effectively it works like a normal meter which has to be read, but it doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily compatible. It's similar to the whole way the market works, unfortunately. This is the personal view, not the council view, but some of the different energy companies have different eligibilities for different schemes, and it doesn't make the sector very simple. My personal view is the government regulator, Ofgem, should have got it resolved and give every single energy company the same eligibility, make it a little bit more straightforward. That's obviously a personal view, not necessarily a Croydon Council view. But so smart meters themselves, that's the sort of problem. And yes, possibly some meter readers that go out might struggle to read them. I don't know too much about individual training, but as they say, smart meters are fine. It really is that they're not necessarily compatible, and like all the bits of electrical equipment, sometimes they do go wrong. But yeah, I mean, I hope that sort of answers. I'm not necessarily here to promote smart meters, and certainly Deborah isn't. They are coming. And to be brutally honest, when they do work, it should save quite a bit, and effectively you don't need people to physically come out and read meter readings. It should actually significantly reduce the cost of, providing the electricity service, gas service, because, unfortunately the meter readers might be made redundant, but obviously the cost of paying people to come out and read is something you pay for on your bill. So, Conrad, obviously I'm not here to defend smart meters, and we know that there's lots of problems. As an energy professional, I've had plenty of opportunities to feedback. We hear stories all the time, but hopefully that kind of explains rather than necessarily defends. But obviously, if you had any specific comment,
I just wanted to bring it to attention, because I've had smart meter. I think I've got this smart meter 1, and what you're talking about, the newer one, is the smart meter 2, which is much better. But with the old smart meter 1, yes, I've had to take readings every time and videos and send them to my companies. Now, I change companies every year because obviously the tariffs are better. But in that process, at any time, I can be about £500 out of pocket until the situation is resolved, because in the transfer, the companies have to agree the transfer readings. And one of the points I've found, the choke points, is that when these meter readers come around to read your meter, because the meters are different types, there's a different way of reading the meter. So on one of the meters, certainly the one I have, you've got to press 9 to get the gas reading. And for the electricity readings, because I've got economy 7, you've got to press 6 4 times. And then you get RO1 and RO2. RO1 is the night reading and RO2 is the day reading. So it's just something I wanted to bring to your attention, because, people say, oh, we're saving money, but I'm quite regularly £500 out of pocket when I switch companies.
Well, I mean, on that point about saving money, I don't think that you don't save money. We've never said, there's been adverts on TV saying you're saving money, and that's something that you don't. I mean, there's a couple of points you made there. So effectively, you'd only save money on a smart meter if, by using the smart meter, you will look at how you use electricity or gas and reduce your gas use. That's the only way you're going to use. I was quite annoyed seeing those TV adverts saying you're going to save money, because you're not. The only way you're going to save money is by using less, and the smart meter display might help educate you how you use. So on that, I mean, in terms of when you're switching, you shouldn't be out of pocket, because you should, you know, all you have to do yourself is provide a meter reading, the same way as you would provide a meter reading if you didn't have a smart meter. And obviously that meter reading is used to, you know, close your existing account and then open your new one. So effectively, I mean, you're just having a smart meter on that. If you yourself can provide a reading, you should have no impact on the switching. Then, you know, somebody.
The companies don't accept your readings. They send a meter reader around.
Well,
and that's the issue. Anyway, I mean,
do they not? Can you not just take a photo of the screen? And
Yeah.
I do now. I do.
I mean, I've never been in a position where, you know, I mean, I switch every year. I've never been challenged. I've never had to have a meter reader coming out to mine. And, you know, sometimes just taking a photo of the screen, because ultimately, you know, whichever way it works, you provide a reading, you know, up to that reading, it's your old energy supplier, and your new supplier takes any electricity on top of that. So as I say, you shouldn't be out of pocket. As I say, there might be some specific issues with specific readers, and as I say, smart meters can improve, but I mean, I'm no fan. I'm no defender, and I am quite annoyed about some of the way it's been promoted. They've been promoted, because, as I say, the only way you're going to save energy is either switching to a better tariff, and getting onto a better tariff, or using less. Have whatever sort of technology you have to read your meter. Or, I mean, I guess the third option is get a solar panel on your roof and get some free electricity. But as I say, it's they are. Let's just put it diplomatically. The way they were rolled out could have been better.
Okay.
I'm so sorry you've had bad experiences on that.
Yeah, unfortunate. Just very quick question. You know that there's a initiative afoot to stop gas or get rid of gas boilers and things of that sort. Is there anything available as yet, or is it early days?
Well, they're looking at air source heat pumps are, you know, they want people to transition off gas. The problem with gas is that, you know, with gas, your gas might, you know, electricity might be 3 times the price. So if you get rid of your gas boiler, and you put an electric boiler in, it might cost you 3 times the amount of money. Now, air source heat pumps are the new sort of technology that's coming in, but it's not, you know, so it's a bit of a challenge. So air source heat pumps are, and going to electric, but as I say, you have to be fairly careful about making sure that your bills don't go up at the same time. So it is, from our point of view as an energy professional, it's almost 2 conflicting interests. One is, as you know, one of my hats is fuel poverty, about making sure low-income households can afford their bills, and my other hat is about energy efficiency, and sometimes they conflict. So definitely, it's something to look at, but look at very carefully, because, as I say, we don't want to, Croydon Council, and I'm sure the BME Forum don't want to be encouraging you to go on to renewable technologies and then only come back to us and say, well, my bill's gone up by £100. It's difficult, but sorry, Deborah, did you want to say anything?
No, you've said it, yeah.
You're sort of hogging your kite, yeah.
No, we're a team. Okay, I hope that's answered your question, Conrad, and we do.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Good.
I'd say, comment, do watch this space, and things are going to change. So do keep in touch and have a look at the energy advice page, and hopefully, if you see me do a presentation in 2 years' time, I might have your second question, something a little bit more.
Well, I'm involved in quite a lot of initiatives, actually. I'm involved in hydrogen and in the all-party parliamentary group about hydrogen and what's going to happen in the country. So I could go on for far too long. I need to let others ask questions.
As I say, hydrogen's another option. SDN, the gas operator, you get Marie, who's the contact from there on. She'll tell you how putting hydrogen in, you know, replacing a gas boiler with a hydrogen ready one. But exactly, as I say, we don't necessarily want to confuse people. It's probably enough information. So as we say, new technologies are coming in. We'll probably be having a very different conversation in 5 years' time, hopefully with a bit more sort of positive. Definitely, this is the technology. This is what you want to do. And again, apologies about your experience with smart meters. Hopefully, the government's learned a few lessons on that.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to say that Jay also has a question.
Yes, absolutely. Do you want to say it, Jay, or should I read it?
No, I will say it, don't worry. Thank you for having me on this panel. You can hear me, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Now I have I made a list of about 5 different things I want to talk about very quickly. One is the energy bill for the house that is a resident. I have gas and electricity. I pay my bills on a direct debit. So the reason I want to change it is just to see if the market now allows me to go on a better tariff. The problem there is that my electricity meter has stopped working and has stopped working for a long time. And I've been trying to get the guy or the company that supplies, or I pay the bill to, trying to change that meter and replace it because it is very old. It's been there since I bought this house 30 years ago. So I don't know how, because it's all estimated bill up to now. So it's been going on for a very long time. So I do want to get to grips with that one. I ring the company and I never get the answer back in terms of saying it is in their interest to change the meter so that they can get accurate meter reading. So that's one of my problems. The second problem is related to Thames Water. They came and installed a meter reading rather than me paying by standard rates. And it is installed outside the boundary of my property. And then they phoned up saying that they want to come and check for leakage of wasting water. So I checked every tap I had in the house and everything else that uses water, and there was nothing there. So I invited them, and the actual meter was leaking itself. The pipe was leaking at the meter point. They fixed it, and they were then asking me to pay for it, which I totally refused. And I think the problem has gone away. So be careful in terms of how, when Thames Water do come and install a meter, you do have a safety assurance from them that the meter is safely installed and does not leak in any form or shapes. Otherwise, they would try and con you to pay for the leakage as well. Then I have 2 properties that I rent out to tenants. I am under, or used to be under the property licensing scheme. And I don't know, Malcolm, if you have done this presentation to the landlords in the past. But one of the things I would say is that in one house, I have a person with learning disability, who is the only tenant, but he then has 24/7 care provided to him. And the carers actually use the property to be there with him for all the needs he has. So I don't know whether that would qualify under any scheme to improve the energy bills that they are paying on behalf of that tenant. Whether I can apply for it or whether the tenant has to apply for it. So Deborah, I'll talk to you about that one.
Yeah.
And on the second property, it's a family of 4 with 3 children. Sorry, it's a family of 5 with 3 children. So I just want to know exactly on that one as well if I can help the tenant to save some money on the energy bill. But some of these things that unfortunately in a rented property, tenants tend to ignore it and they just pay. And you're right, Malcolm, it is the landlord's responsibility to try and save the money. We want to be good landlords. And that's the whole point of the licensing scheme anyway. So those are the 5 points that I have got.
But do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You can start, Malcolm.
Okay, I mean, Jay, apologies if I don't cover it, you might need to repeat something. In terms of you as a landlord, I mean, certainly, I'm sure you yourself, you know, we used to have the physical landlord forums every 4 months or so, and the last few were, I can't remember the name of the, Jory's Inn Hotel. So certainly, you know, we have been to those sorts of events, and we do promote, you know, to landlords and to, yeah, through the sort of emails. I mean, Nick, who's the manager of our landlord licensing team, who also sort of deal with the environmental health. So definitely we want to work with landlords, particularly, as you say, the landlord licensing, you know, the landlords, the better landlords, the people who, you know, care about the welfare of their sort of tenants. So I mean, in terms of, it's probably worth also saying, although we talk more about homeowners, the £10,000 worth of grant, it is actually open to private landlords, but effectively only £5,000 of, you can get up to £5,000 of the funding, but then you would have to contribute a third of the cost yourself. So effectively, you can get £7,500 worth of grant funding, but you would have to contribute £2,500 worth of that. But certainly, if you've got properties that need improving, it's worth investigating, because you may have heard about the minimum energy efficiency. Well, you probably know about the minimum energy efficiency standards. You must have an EPC-E. It's going to be EPC-D by 2025 and an EPC-C by 2030. So, you know, and the way the government seems to work, rightly or wrongly, they'll give landlords support until it becomes legislation for the landlords to do it, and then the minute, well, you have to do it, well, they'll decide, well, it's the landlord's responsibility. So it's well worth, and I'm really happy to sort of have a chat with you on a sort of one-to-one about what funding's available, you know, separately, because as I say, it's a fairly complicated thing for landlords, and it obviously depend on whether their houses or flats, because they can do a lot more in a house, because the eternal problem with flats is you can't insulate one flat, you have to insulate the whole building. Walls are the freeholder's responsibility, and then you might have a tenant, you might have a landlord who's a leaseholder, then you've got a freeholder, and then you need to make sure that you've got all the leaseholders together working with a freeholder, and all the tenants meet the eligibility criteria. So logistically, it's a bit of a nightmare. So it's much easier in homes. Certainly, in terms of your tenants, really good that you asked the question, because certainly if the tenant is low income, so in terms of eligibility for the tenant, and just to sort of say, as a landlord, all the eligibility is about your tenant's income, not your income. But you know, certainly carer's allowance is an eligibility required if there's a carer, and a disability allowance as well. So there might well be things that can be done, and definitely it's worth sort of having a chat with either Deborah or a member of my team about the individual circumstance of your tenant, and obviously we can help. Croydon Healthy Homes itself, we're only offering telephone advice, but our council team will be starting to do home visits, hopefully in late September, October. So it might well be an opportunity to physically go and talk to the tenant. So definitely really happy to have these sort of conversations with you about your specific tenant circumstance, because unfortunately, it's hopefully, well, you probably all got the impression from this, possibly the energy is more complicated than you probably even thought at the beginning of the session. So, and this, one of the problems is because it's so complicated, people put it off till tomorrow to get the thing resolved, and that never really happens. And as they say, you've got the warm homes discount that people have to apply for. It's complicated. Because it's complicated, lots of people miss out. So that's one reason why we set up the Croydon Healthy Home Service in 2016 at the council, and obviously now working with Deborah and the BME Forum this year to really to offer that sort of support.
So if I can just add, just a quick one, Jay. So what I would advise moving forward is that if we book a one-to-one and we can go through the tenant information, I can then pass that on to Malcolm to make it easier, because you know, at least we get the ball rolling. So yeah, that's what I can do.
I have put my number on the chat, so Lizzie can give it to you.
Can forward it. Okay, perfect.
That's brilliant. I mean, Jay, I'm a bit sorry to hear about you've got problems with your electricity meter.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd. I mean, I don't know what they're sort. If your electricity meter's not reading, how they ever going to decide how much electricity you've actually used during this period? I don't know. Yeah. So they can't. I mean, I'll just probably stating the obvious here, but definitely ensure that all your communications in writing, and make sure that if they suddenly turn around to you and say, well, you know, how do they estimate what you've used? If they have it, you know, they should be coming out there if it's a broken meter. They'll probably insist on fitting a smart meter, but as they say, it does cause problems, and you know, on that. So
Malcolm, they have come they have been sending the meter reader. I have told the meter reader that he needs to sort this one out for me.
Mhm.
I can't read the meter anyway. So they have those records, and it's up to them to
Yeah,
decide.
but why they're not fitting? I mean, have they given a reason? Because normally, if they're coming out to look at a meter, they can't blame COVID, the fact they can't fit a new one. I mean, it does seem a little bit odd. I mean, you know, I presume, you know, so it's definitely, you know, one. I as I say, there might be particular sort of reason, but if they can access the meter and you are happy with the new meter, this doesn't necessarily make logical sense.
No, I will. I mean, I'm a very persistent guy, and I have followed it up. So don't worry about that one. I will sort them out if they want to try something. Anyway.
As I said, yeah, it is frustrating because
Only other last question I have is, if someone, I know you mentioned the what was it, the discount scheme for the one-off discount scheme.
Yeah.
If somebody is on related to their age, they receive this benefit of, I think it's about 250 or something.
You mean the winter fuel payments?
Yeah. If they receive that, are they also eligible for one-off discount scheme?
Yeah. I mean, winter fuel payment is a payment that's given to anybody over a certain age. You get a different payment. So you could be living in a small flat in Thornton Heath or in a mansion in Purley. It's the same. It's given to everybody. It's not means tested. Everybody should get that, and that's just money that goes into your bank. You send it into your bank account. The warm homes discount is means
straight to the
So as they say, you should, every person over, I think over 70, who might be 65, gets winter fuel payment. So as they say, you should, but you should get if you've got pension guarantee credit, you should
have it automatically.
And all the other support, anything else there should be eligible for.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jay. And then Conrad has also said that electric meters are owned by the electric companies, and broken meters are normally changed within 2 to 3 weeks, but that's definitely not in Jay's case, and we'll try and chase that up in our one-to-one as well. So if you wish, any more questions, anyone? Okay, I think you've done that one. Yeah, I think we've answered the question. Yeah.
I have a quick question, please.
Yes, Sarah.
So basically, I am in a converted house into 3 flats, but the meter readings are on the first floor in the first flat. But my neighbors don't want to change to upgrade to a new meter reading. Sorry, the
Tariff?
digital ones.
Okay.
But I wanted to do so for a very long time. Is there any? I just basically the company has to come and go inside their flat for them to change my meter reading, my meter, whatever, and put a digital one. But then, they are very against setting up for one for themselves.
Okay. So what I can suggest is that if you book a one-to-one to talk to me, and then I can find out more information, because it's quite personal information, and as it's being recorded, I wouldn't want you to obviously say it here. So please send me an email with your phone number, and then we'll book a one-to-one, and then we can get down to the details of this situation. Okay.
All right. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome.
And just Sarah, just so you know, the Deborah's email is in the chat of the Zoom. Just so you know where it is.
Perfect. Any more questions?
There's one from Michelle in the chat.
How is it? I can't see.
Just says, what was the water discount information again? So
okay, yes. So the water discount information is called Water Sure and Water Help. Okay, and with the Water Sure, it is where you get a cap on your water bill if you have a water meter, and then Water Help is both with Thames Water and SES Water, where you will get 50% off your water bills if you have a water meter. And Michelle, if you want to send me an email, I can forward you the link to applying. Okay.
Oh, hi Jay, how are you? I'm fine.
Thanks. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody. And
Enjoy
I mean,
the
Thanks, Deborah and Malcolm. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.